This one story in the Bible hit me hard. It made me really uncomfortable, so I've been avoiding it for a while now. But I think we need to talk about it because it has some important lessons for us today. It's the story of Amnon and Tamar, and if you haven't heard it, let me catch you up. Quick summary. Amnon is the son of David and Abigail, and Tamar is his half-sister. Now, their mother Abigail was a woman who had a lot of influence over King David, and after he became king, she used that influence to get her son Amnon a position as the crown prince, even though he wasn't actually David's oldest son. Now, this didn't sit well with David's other sons, especially Adonijah, who felt that he had a better claim to the throne. So when Adonijah was 30 years old, he tried to take the throne by force, but he wasn't successful. Instead, he was forced to flee to Egypt, where he was eventually killed. But our story starts here. After Adonijah was killed, Tamar started to live in her brother Ammon's house. And one day while they were in the city, Ammon invited Tamar to go for a ride in his chariot. And while they were alone in the chariot, he began to forcibly kiss her and touch her. Tamar, of course, was not into this at all. She hated it, and so she cried out for help. But unfortunately, no one came to her rescue, and Ammon continued to assault her until he ejaculated. And then, as if things couldn't get worse, he told her that she had a reputation now. She wasn't a virgin anymore, so she couldn't marry anyone. She would never have a husband. Wow. Just wow. It's stories like these that make me want to throw my Bible across the room. How could God allow something like this to happen? And why would he include this story in his word? Well, there are a few reasons why I think he did. First, Tamar wasn't some innocent girl who had never had any kind of sexual experience before. She was an adult woman who had been married before. In fact, she was the widow of her cousin, Uriah the Hittite. You might remember him. He's the guy who refused to take his armor off before going into King David's presence. And so David made the foolish decision to kill him. So Tamar was hardly some innocent young girl. And even though she had been violated, it doesn't say that she was traumatized or that she suffered any long-term psychological damage. The second reason I think God included this story is because of how quickly people forgot about Adonijah's attempted coup. I mean, in 2 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 18, it says that David thought it was Adonijah who had hired people to try to kill him. But then in verse 24, when David hears that it was actually Joab, his commander-in-chief, he says, "Good, let him be dealt with according to his deeds." And that was the end of that. No, seriously, there's zero mention of Adonijah's attempted coup, of the threat that he had posed to David and to Solomon. Everyone just seemed to forget about it, but God didn't forget. And he reminds us here in the story of Tamar that even though Adonijah is dead, the threat he posed still remains. Because if the people could so quickly forget what he had done, then there was nothing to stop them from forgetting what Ammon had done to Tamar. You see, Ammon was Adonijah's full brother, and he had committed an even worse offense than Adonijah. Where Adonijah had plotted to kill his father and to overthrow the kingdom, Ammon had committed sexual violence against his own sister. And yet there is not a single word of Tamar's story that suggests that Ammon faced any kind of punishment for what he did. Like there is not even a hint that he lost his crown prince status or that he was banished from the kingdom. Nothing. And maybe that's the most uncomfortable part of the story for us. That someone could do something so horrible, something so clearly wrong, and then just not face any consequences for it. But I think that's actually the point. The story isn't trying to suggest that sexual violence is okay, or that it is common, or that it is something we shouldn't fight against. It's highlighting the reality that sometimes, in some cases, people who do terrible things don't face any consequences for those actions, and that's not okay. We should not shrug at stories like these. We should not become numb to them. We must continue to speak out against sexual violence. We must continue to call it what it is, and we must continue to fight for justice for survivors.